It is Friday, April 19th, and the Dong Report is back in your life. I'm Matt Modi, and I have 3 home run predictions for you guys to lock in for today's MLB betting slate. I have 3 home runs that I already locked in myself, and then I have another 3 that I'm putting on the honorable mention list. I didn't officially go with them or lock them in, but they were 3 that I heavily considered, so I figured I would give those out as well in case people were interested. Before we can get into today's picks, we got to do a recap from yesterday. I only had 1 home run prediction yesterday. That did not come to fruition. I had Mike Trout to hit a home run. I posted this all over Twitter, but he crushed, just annihilated a baseball. It hit every metric you want in terms of exit velocity and launch angle. But because of the dead ball in the MLB department this year, it was not a home run. But at least we're on the right track with him. It has been a rough start to the season. We had a brutal stretch for the first 2 weeks of April. We do seem to be coming out of that rough stretch a little bit. Heading into yesterday, we had gotten a home run correct in 4 straight days. So hopefully with the weather changing, we're starting to get out of the slump that we were to start the season. On the entire season, as I mentioned, it's been rough. We're down about 15.5 units on these. Hopefully we can turn this thing around. End the year. Last year we were up like 60 units on the Dong Report, so it's just been a bad start this year, but I'm confident we will turn things around. And as I mentioned, I have 3 picks for today, plus another 3 honorable mentions. But before we get into that real quick, again, if you could like the video, comment, subscribe, all that stuff does help me out a ton. Getting out of this slump is very nice, and if those of you that have been following along, you probably were along the ride with the worst part of what it possibly will be for this MLB season. So it's only going to go up from here for these home runs. So again, subscribe if you're not already, and then like and comment this video. Enough of that. Let's get into today's bangers. The first play that we're going to go ahead and lock in here for our home runs is in the Angels versus Reds game. And I'm taking Mike Trout. I'm going back to him to hit a home run plus 300 odds at FanDuel. As I mentioned, we went with Mike Trout yesterday, and he crushed a baseball that met what you're looking for in terms of exit velocity and launch angle, but was not a home run because of the dead baseball. But as for today, we're in Reds Stadium, which is already a hitter's park, and the wind is blowing out of the park as well. So those 2 things basically should help that if Mike Trout does the exact same thing he did yesterday, that ball will leave the stadium. I will admit there is a little bit of risk here just when you look at the pitching matchup, as all 8 of Mike Trout's home runs this year have come against right-handed pitching, and the Reds are throwing a pretty good left-handed pitcher on the mound. But Trout has also only had 8 plate appearances against left-handed pitching this year, so it's a tiny sample size. So yeah, obviously, of 8 plate appearances, not hitting 1 home run isn't the craziest thing in the world. And the Reds bullpen is majority right-handed pitching, so if they get to the Reds starting pitcher, even if he pitches, let's say, 6 innings, Trout should have an at-bat or 2 against a right-handed pitcher if he is unable to hit one against the Reds starting pitcher. But regardless, if you just look at his advanced stats and you don't even look at right versus left-handed pitching, Mike Trout has been crushing the baseball this year. I mean, he's had a phenomenal year, 8 home runs. Obviously, he's a really, really good start. And as I mentioned, even though he didn't hit one yesterday, still seeing the ball well, he crushed a baseball that probably would have been a home run last year. So going back to him today in the juicy weather with, as I mentioned, the wind blowing out and the fact that it's Reds Stadium should bode well if he does the same thing again today. That ball should leave the stadium. Over the last 2 weeks, Mike Trout has hit 5 home runs. He's got an ISO rate of 38.5%. ISO rate stands for isolated power. Literally just measures how much power a batter has. Anything that is 25% and above is considered excellent. Him being at 38.5% over the last 2 weeks, obviously he's well above the excellent threshold. And that 38.5%, that's good for 5th best in the MLB over the last 14 days. He's also got a barrel rate of 17.1%. Barrel rate measures how often you hit the barrel of the bat when you make contact. Anything 15% and above is considered excellent. So he's excellent in both of those categories, along with really good other advanced metrics as well. He's got a fly ball ratio of 48.8%, a pull ratio of 43.9%. Generally, you want 45% and above for fly balls, and a pull rate above 40% is good, specifically for home runs as well. And then he's got a pretty good launch angle of 21.4 degrees as well. That's showing you when he makes contact, he's not going for a contact in terms of getting it like a single or double. He's aiming for the fences. And after not mashing one yesterday, with the weather today, I'm confident he's going to come through for us, mash a home run. Next up, Rangers versus Braves game. I'm taking Marcell Ozuna to hit a home run plus 330 odds at FanDuel. I get that this is another chalk play going with Trout and going with Ozuna, But this is another play that is so good for Ozuna to hit a home run that I'm comfortable to go with him at the plus 330 odds. Similar to Mike Trout, Marcell Ozuna has also been mashing the baseball this year. He also has 5 home runs in the last 14 days, and his ISO rate in the same 2-week span is 36.7%. That's good for 8th best in the MLB in terms of ISO rate, obviously also in the excellent category. And in the same 14-day stretch, what's really impressive is he's got a barrel rate of 22%. That's also well above the excellent threshold that we're looking for, and that's 5th best in the MLB in the last 14 days. I will admit his fly ball ratio is a little bit low at 34.1%, but because his ISO rate and his barrel rate are so high, and he's got a pull rate of 48.8%, so just below the 50% mark, that's why he's been able to hit so many home runs. He's hitting for excellent power. He's doing a great job of barreling up the ball, and he's pulling it, which generally pull hitters are the ones that hit the most home runs. So it makes sense why he's been able to do so. He's also going up against a left-handed pitcher, Andrew Heaney of the Rangers. This year, in limited sample size, he's got 29 plate appearances against lefties. He's hit 2 home runs in those 29 plate appearances. So unlike Mike Trout, who only has 8, he's at least got 29, and he's hit 2 home runs. And if you look at the types of pitches that Heaney throws versus the types of pitches that Marcell Ozuna mashes, it's an excellent matchup for Marcell Ozuna. The 2 most common pitches that Andrew Heaney throws are 4-seam fastballs and sliders. Those are 2 pitches that Marcell Ozuna crushes. Looking at the last 14 days, he has the 7th best runs above average, specifically against fastballs, and the 9th best runs above average, specifically against sliders as well. So he's top 10 over the last 14 days in both of those pitches. Those are also the 2 pitches that he hits for the most power as well, which makes sense when you look at those runs above average. So I love this spot for Marcell Ozuna to go yard once again. We went with him on Wednesday. He mashed, gave us a profitable day on Wednesday. Let's hope he can do the same today. And then our last pick of the day, back to the Angels versus Reds game, because that's such a juicy weather game for home runs. And I'm taking Spencer Steer to hit a home run, plus 420 odds at FanDuel. As always, we dedicate the last play of the day to the juiciest odds as well. And I think this is another phenomenal play for Spencer Steer to hit a home run. Over the last 2 weeks, he's got an ISO rate of 25%, so just in the excellent threshold, but still within it, so we're good to go there. But more importantly, and the reason why we're going with Steer, is he has an excellent matchup against a left-handed pitcher, which Steer is much better against, and specifically a left-handed pitcher, Tyler Anderson, who gives up a ton of solid contact, a ton of fly balls, that is really, really good for a home run batter that you want to target, the type of pitcher who gives up a lot of home runs. If you look at this entire season, Steer's ISO rate jumps up to 28.6% against lefties. And if you isolate against left-handed pitching over the last 2 weeks specifically, that ISO rate jumps up even higher to 35.7%. I will admit his fly ball ratio, kind of similar to Marcell Ozuna, is a little bit low at 36.4%. But all his other metrics look phenomenal. He's got like a hard hit percentage against lefties of 54.5%, which is a crazy number for hard hit percentage against a handedness of a pitcher. And then he also gets the same benefit as Mike Trout in terms of playing in Red Stadium with the wind blowing out of the stadium. So it's a short park with carry of the wind blowing out. That should just help him if he gets a hold of one. Hopefully, again, the dead ball will be counteracted by the short stadium and the wind blowing out. And as I mentioned, Tyler Anderson pitching for the Angels, pretty big advantage in favor of Spencer Steer. Anderson allows a barrel rate of 9.4%, which for batters, the 15% number and above is good. For pitchers, the 10% number and above is pretty bad for a pitcher. Like as of right now, that 9.4% barrel rate, that's in the bottom 25 of pitchers specifically this year. And if you go back to the entire season of last year, that 9.4% barrel rate would have been good for 7th worst in the MLB. Anderson also allows harder contact, more fly balls to right-handed batters as well. He allows a fly ball ratio of 50% against righties. Like half the time, they're putting the ball in the air, and a pull rate of 47.7% as well. So 2 really good metrics for a pitcher in terms of who you want batters to go up against to hit home runs. 50% fly ball percentage, that's good for 8th worst in the MLB so far this year. And that 47.7% pull rate, that's good for 12th worst this year. Really, really bad. And let's say the Reds get to him early and Spencer Steer isn't able to hit a home run. Well, guess what? The Angels bullpen gives up the 4th most home runs so far on the season. So these 3 players, we just need one of them to hit a home run. If one does, we will be profitable. If we get all 3 to match, we'll do a nice dent into our losses so far this year. So let's hope for that. And then in terms of our honorable mentions, we have Yordan Alvarez as an honorable mention, Shohei Ohtani, and Taylor Ward. 3 guys that I did considered going with, but decided to just stick with the 3 that I officially went with. But if you want to put them in a round robin, or just if you want to track to see how these home run predictions go, those are the 3 in the honorable mentions. But that's all we got. 3 home run predictions for you guys to lock in. Make sure to like the video, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And if you like the plays that I give out, but you want to get them early, I do have a Dub Club where everything gets texted to you for $5 a month. It's the same plays you see on YouTube and on Twitter. It just gets texted immediately or directly to you immediately when I decide what a play is. So if you don't want to watch the videos, you don't have to. Link to that is in the description of the video as well as the pinned comments. But you can also get the same exact plays for free if you'd rather that on YouTube and on Twitter. And that's all we got. Appreciate everybody for watching and have a good one.